Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome viewers. You're watching Committee Report with your host Kriti Mishra. Today we'll take a closer look at the report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs on Police, Training, Modernisation and Reforms. In the federal structure of the country, police and public order are state subjects under the 7th schedule to the Constitution. The police is a vital instrument through which state governments wield their power and authority for prevention, detection and investigation of crime, maintaining law and order and providing security to the people. The centre also maintains central armed police forces like PSF, CISF, CRPF, ITBP. However, they are deployed to assist the state governments and UTs in maintaining public order on their request. The debate on police reforms has been a long-standing one and has been spanning over more than 4 decades. Over these years, several commissions have been set up at the highest levels of the government and they have submitted their reports and recommendations. So before we commence our discussion, here's a detailed report for our viewers on key observations and recommendations of the committee. Take a look. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs, headed by Congress leader Anand Sharma, has expressed concern over the worrisome representation of women in police forces. The committee recommends that MHA may advise states and UTs to impart adequate training to the police personnel on the procedure during arrests. The training should also emphasize that the rights of the detainee are not violated by resorting to manhandling during arrests. The committee also recommends that MHA may advise states to sensitize the investigating officers to use relevant provisions under the penal laws while registering a case and precautions be taken during trial to secure conviction. The committee recommends that MHA may also advise states to set up cyber cells in all the districts. The state should map the cybercrime hotspots, which will help in quick detection of crimes and taking proactive measures to prevent cybercrimes. The committee expresses its grave concern on the use of different types of drones for committing crimes, transport of drugs, arms and ammunition, which is a threat to the internal security of the country. And for deeper insights on the need for police reforms and on the key recommendations of the committee, I'm joined by an illustrious panel of guests. Joining us through virtual platform, Mr. Dilip Ghosh, member of the Lok Sabha, representing the BJP. Ms. Meera Chadha, former Commissioner of Police, Pune. And Mr. G.M. Srivastav, former Director General of Police, Assam. Welcome to Sansad TV, all of you, and thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Ghosh, let me begin the program with you. The Modernisation of Police Forces scheme was initiated in 1969 or 70 and has undergone several revisions over the years. The Supreme Court in the landmark Prakash Singh case of 2006 gave 7 directions where constable work in police reforms is still needed. Give us a perspective on the judgment and also the need for police reforms in India.
अभी देखिए पिछले कई महीनों से हमारी होम स्टैंडिंग कमेटी ने इस पर काफी चर्चा की और अलग-अलग प्रदेशों की पुलिस हाई कमीशन, वहां के चीफ सेक्रेटरी, होम सेक्रेटरी सब लोग आकर के अपना मॉडर्नाइजेशन और इसमें अपना डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन भी किया उन्होंने। तो हम सब जानते हैं कि क्राइम करने का तौर तरीका हर समय बदल रहा है। नया टेक्नोलॉजी साथ साथ साइबर क्राइम और क्राइम का विस्तार बहुत किया है। इसलिए इनको कंट्रोल करना और जो दोषी है उनको सजा देने के लिए पुलिस के पास भी वो टेक्नोलॉजी होना चाहिए, ट्रेनिंग होनी चाहिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए, इंस्ट्रूमेंट होना चाहिए और इसीलिए समय समय पर इस पर काफी चर्चा भी होनी चाहिए और जगह जगह इसका हो भी रहा है। और इसके लिए सबसे बड़ी बात होती है फंड की भी बहुत जरूरत पड़ती है। मशीनरी, ट्रेनिंग, सॉफ्टवेयर, ये सब की जो जरूरत पड़ती है उसके लिए अलग अलग स्थान भी चाहिए जहां ऑफिस मॉडर्न एकदम ये सब का उपयोग के लिए और एक्सपर्ट भी चाहिए। तो इसलिए इसकी बहुत जरूरत है कि पुलिस बल को आधुनिक और समयोपयोगी करने के लिए उनका मॉडर्नाइजेशन होना चाहिए। नए उसमें चिंतन, नए विधाएं जुड़ना चाहिए और उसके लिए अलग अलग ट्रेनिंग और इंस्ट्रूमेंट भी होना चाहिए। जैसा कि अलग अलग प्रदेश के पुलिस के अधिकारी ने हम लोगों के सामने डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन किया है किस प्रकार से उन लोग इसका ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं। पूरा फोर्स का ही ऊपर से नीचे तक सब क्षेत्र में उनका हर स्तर पर उसका परिवर्तन और मॉडर्नाइजेशन हो रहा है। साथ साथ ये जो साइबर क्राइम जो बढ़ रहा है धीरे धीरे, नया नया टेक्नोलॉजी, नया नया उसमें लोगों का दिमाग लगा करके नया नया क्राइम करने का जो आ रहा है वो भी बहुत चिंता की बात है। इसलिए उस पर भी काम करना बहुत जरूरी है। फिर भी हम लोगों को लगा कि काम जो हो रहा है वो सफिशिएंट नहीं है और गति से होना चाहिए और ज्यादा उसमें धन और ताकत लगाना चाहिए, मैन पावर भी लगाना चाहिए। तभी पुलिस की जो काम है समाज में शांति श्रृंखला रक्षा करना, साथ साथ लोगों को सुरक्षा देना, ये संभव हो पाएगा।
All right, Mr. Srivastav, the committee also noted with concern the 21% shortfall in actual strength of state police forces. How do we make up for this shortfall in a mission mode?
It's not all that difficult, because every state has got home guards. And those home guards are half-trained people, actually. If you want to cut the training time, and prepare them for the normal duty, you can select a larger portion from the existing home guards, and then you can redesign their training courses. We have experimented it in Tripura, where I was DG before I took over in Assam. And that's where we said, because then instead of 1 year, we could complete the training in 6 months' time, because they're already trained with weapons. You'll only need to give them a refresher training kind of a thing in that, and the rest of the thing, the law and other softer skills and public dealing, those things can be taught in 6 months' time. And they can be put, because half the time they are with the police working. They know what the law and order is, how they have to go for the crowd control, how they have to do some of those ऑफिस ड्यूटीज इन द थाना एंड एल्सवेयर। तो ये कोई बहुत मुश्किल काम नहीं है, इसे आसानी से किया जा सकता है अगर हम इस तरह स्वीकार करें। पहले फेज में वी कैन टेक पीपल फ्रॉम होम गार्ड्स एंड देन एट द सेम टाइम वी कैन आल्सो रिक्रूट द यंगस्टर्स हु आर वेटिंग फॉर द जॉब, नीड इट, and then in that case you'll find that the first batch comes out after about 5-6 months time, and the second one joins you after another 6 months. So that's how you can keep on making up this shortfall.
All right, so we can make up for this shortfall. But talking about another important aspect, Ms. Meera, the panel said women are abysmally underrepresented in police force, constituting only 10.30% of the police force. While many states have mandated 10 to 33% reservation for women in the police, not one of these states met the goal. A significant share of police women suffer due to patriarchal prejudices and are considered unfit for on-field tasks. Many stations also lack basic infrastructure, such as a separate toilet for women. What could be the roadmap ahead for 33% women representation in police forces?
So, Kriti, you have already talked that the committee has noted a huge vacancy in the recruitment. So data on police organization released by the Bureau of Police Research says that in 2019-20, out of 16 lakh plus civil police, there were only 13 plus lakh policemen, women available, which means their actual strength falls short by 3 lakhs. Now, if we admit and we accept that we should have more women in police, why not, what Srivastava sir has said, induct home guards? Why not induct more women and complete what India feels, what most states feel, that we should have 33% reservation? So we have an excellent window that these vacancies of 3 lakhs should be treated, that we will bring more women. और महिलाओं की जरूरत भी बहुत है पुलिस स्टेशन लेवल में. You have rightly flagged, and so has the committee, that we need toilets. That's not an issue. We have funds. अगर आप देखें तो ट्रेनिंग में भी the Bureau of Police Research says that states are utilizing only 70% of the training funds given by Government of India and the state governments. Modernization में we are using only 75% of the grants given to us. ये जो grants हम unutilize कर रहे हैं, जिनको नहीं utilize कर रहे हैं, वो can be used for creating infrastructure for women. So this excellent window and opportunity, unutilized funds and vacancy position, both can be utilized for inducting more women and creating infrastructure for them.
But ma'am, why is it not happening? What is preventing it?
So I think we at the center level and at the state level should talk to police leadership. And if you want to utilize funds from modernization and training to creation of infrastructure, we need special permission from the grantee. That's the state government and the state center government. वो permission police leadership level को encourage किया जाए, and this kind of resolutions by both the parliament and the state assemblies कि ये vacancy position जो है ये women recruitment द्वारा fill की जाए. इसके लिए police leadership alone is not enough. We need all the MPs, MLAs, assemblies and the parliament with us through a special resolution.
All right, so as you're saying that political will is very important. But Mr. Ghosh, you were saying that police reforms have also been delayed because of shift in crime profile, frequent changes in law, directions by the courts or the commissions. Creating awareness of the law is very, very important for police because the laws keep on getting amended. So how do we acquaint them with such developments?
देखिए, जिस प्रकार जो होती है तो उसमें कोई विशेष कमेटी बनाया है, SIT जैसा होता है, तो उसका कोई कमेटी का रिपोर्ट सालों तक नहीं आता है. इसमें गति लाने के लिए भी और एफिशिएंट ऑफिसर और इंस्ट्रूमेंट और बाकी सब कुछ चाहिए. तो ये कई बार पॉलिटिकली भी इसका होता है, एक तुरंत कमेटी बना दिया जाता है, उसका कोई नतीजा नहीं आता है. इसलिए पुलिस का एफिशिएंसी पर लोगों का भरोसा भी कम हो जाता है. और कई बार कोर्ट का भी ऑर्डर होता है कि इस प्रकार कमेटी बनाकर इंक्वायरी किया जाए, लेकिन वो भी पूरा नहीं हो पाता है, समय पर उसका रिपोर्ट नहीं आता है, वो एक्सटेंशन होता रहता है. एक बड़ी समस्या है. तो मुझे लगता है कि इसमें जैसे कि वैकेंसी है, मैन पावर कम है तो बहुत बड़ा है. जैसे कि वेस्ट बंगाल में लगभग 1.5 लाख ऐसे जो कांस्टेबल, इसको यहाँ सिविक पुलिस बोला जाता है, वो ट्रैफिक कंट्रोल से लेकर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर भी देखते हैं. लगभग 8,000 रुपया तनख्वाह दिया जाता है महीना में उनको, और काफी बड़ा संख्या में ये लोग उनको हेल्प करते हैं. एक पुलिस थाने में 8-10 सिपाही और ऑफिसर होंगे तो बाकी ये लोग 15-20 लोग हैं. इस प्रकार से चल रहा है. तो एक बड़ा शॉर्टेज तो है ही है. साथ साथ ये जो कार्रवाई करना आधुनिक जरा समस्या है और अपराध है, उसके लिए जिस प्रकार ट्रेनिंग और वो चाहिए, वो भी हमेशा उपलब्ध नहीं होता है. इसलिए केस पेंडिंग हो जाता है, न्याय नहीं मिलता है लोगों को. पुलिस के पास धन की और ताकत की कमी, दोनों की कमी होती है.
राइट.
दूसरा एक पॉलिटिकल इन्वॉल्वमेंट जो होता है, उसके कारण भी उनका एफिशिएंसी पूरा उपयोग नहीं होता है, कई जगह देखा जा रहा है. तो एक बड़ा समस्या है. तो लोग जाते हैं कोर्ट में और कोर्ट पुलिस के द्वारा सारा कुछ छानबीन करके उसका न्याय देने की प्रयास करते हैं, लेकिन दोनों में बहुत बड़ा गैप है.
All right, so we need to bridge that gap. That's a very important point that Mr. Ghosh is making. Let me take that to Mr. Srivastava. Sir, the committee is of the view that modern policing requires strong communication support, state-of-the-art modern weapons, and a high degree of mobility for quick response. But the committee also notes with anguish that 257 police stations do not have vehicles. 638 police stations do not have telephones. I'm sorry, that paints a very grim picture.
Well, this must be the failure of the planning, the group which is responsible for planning for these things in those states where it is lacking. What we have observed, over the period of time, that the money that comes for buying the vehicles, it's now going for very costly vehicles which can be avoided also, because there are a lot of good quality vehicles available at lower prices. So the more money is being spent on the vehicles which are being used by the officers generally. This is what has been the complaint. I think we need to focus on these things, and what is required is that there should be a periodical audit of need and the utility. It's very, very important. Unless we make an assessment and we see what we have done, only the number of vehicles should not be counted. We should see what quality of vehicles have been purchased and whether it has gone to the police station and the outpost level. Yes. Which is what is missing, because vehicles are there, but these are mostly urban areas where you will find it. So I'm quite concerned on it that some of the police stations are still without a vehicle.
Yes.
As regards the telephone, now that the mobile telephone sets have come and different systems have been available, it should be possible for every government to provide a police station, mobile set to a police station, and those numbers can be notified. But what is lacking as of now is that we are planning still on our older requirements. We are not trying to take into account the needs of the tomorrow. Like I'll say, we are talking about all these smart cities. The requirement of policing in the smart cities is going to be very different from what we have today in different places. The traditional policing will have to be modified to that extent. I think that the curriculum in the training institutes has to be reviewed, and we have to put into it the soft skill, the behavioral person, and especially we have to imbibe somehow or the other the sense of duty. And it's very strange to mention that respect for citizen has to be also now has brought into this course curriculum, because the forces which we are now finding, I think they are going to be militarized, and because of the handling of situations of insurgency and all, have now become little harsh in their normal day-to-day behavior, which is what is being noticed and which is what is being told to us by a lot of people. Now, I think the people who are planning the training curriculum for the police forces for tomorrow will have to take into account a lot of things. And within that, you will have to take into account the kind of training on IAM, that's what they call identity access management and all these things, and the cyber related things, operation of drone for law and order, and for even the tracking of criminals. So it's time that we sit down and we review everything for every level of police force. It's not only the constabulary, it's not only the officers. You can't see things in segregation. It will have to be interlinked, and it will have to be commensurate with the requirements that are going to come in future to us.
Absolutely. As you're saying that we can't see things in isolation. And a very important point that you made is of cyber crime, probably, that crime profile is changing. Ms. Meera, as per the NCRB data, cyber crime cases have increased from 27,248 in 2018 to 50,035 in 2020. The committee observes that these crimes are mainly related to financial transactions. So how do we employ technologies like artificial intelligence, big data for mapping the crime hotspots and also for providing specialized training?
So, Kriti, the current registration of cybercrime is only half truth. Actually, I would say that cybercrime is double of what we are registering, number one. Number two, if we want to improve our investigation skills and also the technology, we have to invest in new technology. AI, everybody is talking about, but I'm not aware of any state organization having taken to AI, artificial intelligence, for investigation of cybercrime, or even anticipating, predicting, going through the trends, predicting what trends are there. So one, if we take the threat of cybercrime as seriously as we are projecting, we have to encourage citizens, and this is a very sensitive issue for girls and women also, to come and report crime, one. Second, upgrade the skills of our own investigators. Third, invest in new technology. And I feel in that, police communicating, interacting with the cyber world, with the corporate sector, which is investing or which is into the cyber world, that communication, that coordination with those who are dealing with the cyber world and cyber investigators, that also we have to encourage. So investment in finance, upgrading our skills, very strong communication and coordination with the cyber world, and encouraging citizens to report and register cybercrime. These are the four issues I would like to flag.
Absolutely, ma'am. Very important points there, but encouraging citizens to report any crime. Mr. Ghosh, before we end this conversation, police are often seen as insensitive towards the common man and vulnerable sections. That's what at least the committee notes. While there is no denying the fact that various reasons could be attributed to such behavior on the part of the police, emphasis on right training in this regard is one of the ways to develop such attributes in the police personnel. The committee is of the considered view that the shift from an entitlement-based approach to a rights-based approach is needed for positive change in the attitude of police personnel as well. Sir, your closing thoughts on that?
देखिए, कई प्रकार प्रयोग चल रहा है इसका ऊपर यहाँ, जैसा फुटबॉल टूर्नामेंट के माध्यम से पुलिस सोसाइटी के साथ इंटरेक्शन कर रही है, कोच स्टूडेंट को पढ़ाना, उनको ट्रेनिंग देना, इस प्रकार से सोसाइटी के साथ अपना नजदीकियां बढ़ा करके लोगों में और पुलिस में जो दूरी है उसको कम करने की कई जगह प्रयोग शुरू हुआ है। हम लोग भी यहाँ देखते हैं। इस प्रकार से कोई सोशल प्रोग्राम हो, पुलिस कई बार कल्चरल प्रोग्राम भी करती है, और सोशल सर्विस आदि जैसा कि ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप्स आदि नौजवानों को साथ ले करके और प्रयास करते हैं, करना भी चाहिए। तो मुझे लगता है कि पुलिस का अगर सोसाइटी के साथ इंटरेक्शन ठीक नहीं होगा तो क्राइम को रोकना बड़ा मुश्किल है, और लोगों से इंफॉर्मेशन ले करके यहाँ शांति स्थापित करना भी बहुत मुश्किल होता है। लोगों का कोऑपरेशन नहीं होने से पुलिस का काम में बड़ा समस्या आता है।
राइट।
पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेज या तो मिलिट्री का काम अलग होता है, लेकिन पुलिस से एकदम लोगों का साथ रहता है। इसलिए लोगों के साथ इंटरेक्शन और कुछ प्रोग्राम ऐसा हो जिससे लोगों को लगे पुलिस हमारा हितकारी है, उनको मदद करना चाहिए जो हमारे हित में काम कर रहे हैं।
Right, sir. Right, sir. Absolutely. Mr. Srivastava and Ms. Meera, closing comments on improving the community relationship. Mr. Srivastava?
Well, a lot of efforts have been made in it. There's something known as community policing. If you involve them in your activity, you trust them and behave in a manner that you could also be trusted. Because what is happening is that the gap between the lower level and the senior level of the police force, that is somehow I find it's increasing these days, which is what is need to be breached. One. And
right.
If the training of the policemen is area specific, or the kind of, if they're aware, because you see senior officers, they come from different parts of the country to a different, to a state. But they're not generally aware of the nuances of that state, the cultural background, the ethnicity and all those things. So there's always some kind of a gap created because of the language in this thing.
Right,
this is about the officers class, of course. But when it comes to the constabulary or people down below, each state has got its own adverse practices of either caste or community or things like that. And this is what is being seen even in the certain segments of the police forces, some of the states. Now, this is where we need to work. The sociological, or what we call it, social engineering tools have to be brought into picture, and
yes,
people have to be consciously made to realize that they are here to serve the people. And if complaints coming against an officer for not behaving well, not attending to the things, has to be taken seriously.
Right, sir.
Unless we do that, unless we make our force realize that they are here for service, they are not here for bossing over the people who come to the police station, well, things will continue in that British mode only, which we need to very soon leave and come out of it and be an Indian force for the Indians within the country.
Those are very strong words coming from you, sir. Ms. Meera, your closing thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I agree totally with Ghosh sir and Mr. Srivastava sir. Along with that, I would say that committee is very right in saying we are still in that entitlement mode instead of the right mode. So training ke time pe hi our induction should be on the basis of sensitivity. We should induct such people, such officers who are sensitive to the rights of citizens. And second thing, if we want to have a public-centric policing, we must eradicate corruption, which has become very rampant in the country. If police is looking for money instead of looking for the concerns of the citizens, then we would have this kind of insensitive policing. So, आप corruption eradication के लिए strong measures like Supreme Court ने suggest किया है कि complaint authority बनाइए, उनको really effective कीजिए, and induction, recruitment, training on the basis of sensitive police constabulary, sensitive police officials. These two measures, sensitivity to be the center for induction, recruitment and police training, and eradication of corruption from policing, would give us sensitive, right-respecting police officers and policemen and women.
Absolutely, ma'am. Again, those are very important points that you're making. But the committee also provided these valuable inputs after several meetings with all stakeholders spanning over months. Here's a detailed report for our viewers. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs, in its meeting held on 14th of October 2020, selected the subject Police, Training, Modernization and Reforms for examination and held 6 meetings. In these meetings, the committee heard the views of the representatives of Ministry of Home Affairs, state governments of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Gujarat, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, West Bengal, Delhi Police, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy, and Bureau of Police Research and Development. The committee considered the draft report in its meeting held on 8th of February 2022 and adopted the same. The report was presented to Rajya Sabha on 10th of February 2022.
So there is a need to carry out police reforms and incentivize police departments to adopt best practices. And with that, it's a wrap on the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ghosh, Mr. Srivastav and Ms. Meeran. Next week, we'll return with highlights of another Parliamentary Committee report. Till then, take care and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Namaskar.